Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We're here for Monday market moves, what happened last week in the markets, and what I expect for next week. Alrighty, let's go to the charts. Starting out as always with the S&P 500. Okay, so we're getting close to all-time highs again. S&P is up 1.5% for the week. And all-time highs are going to be, we'll call it 5670. That's going to be the next resistance level up. And I expect on Monday or Tuesday, it'll probably hit that. The question is, do we blow through it or not? But my bias on Monday is to the upside. The dollar continues to tank. It is down 1.7% for the week. Fell through this 200 weekly moving average, trading right in this little kind of box that I've drawn for the last year and a half or so. Next level of support is going to be right down here around 99.70 or so, 99.80. And then I really think we're going to come down here to this white line, which is around 90. There is a lot of support back there with the Fed about to cut rates. I think that the dollar is going to get weaker. The caveat with this one is they're comparing it against 7 other currencies. So does the dollar remain strong against those or not? But my bias, at least immediately, would be to the downside here, about 99, 70, something like that. Japanese yen. I thought that this would start to roll over a little bit more. It hasn't quite done that. So basically, as this chart goes down, the yen is getting stronger. But I expect to see a little bit more from this yen carry trade start to unwind. And the 10s minus the 2s still getting real close to that 0% line when we move from upside down clown world into normal times. And the 1-month treasury is not broken yet, although it is starting to creep down slightly. We're now at 5.34%. We've been at 5.37 for a while. So I think this is starting to unwind with Powell's comments. And if we go to the CME tool here, we can see that for their September 18th meeting, every single trader betting on this believes that the Fed will cut rates, and Jerome Powell essentially said that they will. So 3 out of 4 of them think that they will cut 25 basis points. 1 out of 4 think that they'll cut 50 basis points. Time will tell. And longtime listener Mutant says, investing in government bonds, notes, and treasuries is just enabling the government to squander more. I agree, sir. I have a moral issue with bonds. We're essentially taxing our children for our benefit now. But unfortunately, my scruples are not strong enough for me to resist this 5.3%. So take that for what it's worth. Okay, this one, gold, is just continuing to kill it, up 1/3 of 1% this week. Last week it was 25.37. This week it's 25.46. We hit a new all-time high of 25.70 intraday. I did trim a few gold positions here. This is kind of my little funny. We've got the yin and yang, and the yin is sad because the higher this goes, the more the economy is going into the toilet. But we're happy because we own gold and we're making money. And gold divided by the S&P 500. Okay, so this is a ratio chart here. I'm going to move this one out slightly, and we can see these last arrows. Actually, I'm going to go out even further here. We'll go to the monthly so we get some real-time scale. So basically, as this chart goes up, gold is outperforming the S&P 500. As it goes down, it's underperforming. And we can see over the last few cycles here, if we go to the dot-com bubble, we had a nice little run here in gold in the next few years. So if we just chart this from the bottom to the top right there, gold outperformed the S&P 500 by 150% in only a few years. And then if you held on a few years longer, it got up to 180%. And then if we go to this next one here from 2007 up to 2009, that you'll remember that as the housing crisis, we had a massive outperformance by gold to the S&P 500 of north of 200%. If you held on even a little bit longer to 2011, you got up almost to 300%. And the most recent one here back in 2019, we had an outperformance of gold to the S&P 500 of 70%. What is this next green arrow going to be? Time will tell. And GDX divided by gold. So as this chart moves up, the miners are outperforming gold. So just staying with this white trend line going up, I think this is going to continue. OUNZ, I haven't brought this one up. I don't know if I've ever brought it up, to be honest with you, but I got this back in March of 2021. This was one of my first gold purchases, and I did trim a little bit on this. We went over last week how stretched the metal itself is in the technicals. And so I took a little bit off the table. I took about 25% of this bet off of the table. Nice, decent performance. Not as good as the miners are going to do, I don't think, but in 3 years got 45%. Not bad. CEF is up 1.3% for the week. So these two funds here, OUNZ and CEF, are air quotes physical metal, basically a real easy liquid way to play this in the stock market. If you want to get your own precious metals like real gold and silver that you can hold in your hand, contact Andy Scheckman at Miles Franklin. I love the team that they've built. I'm honored to be a part of it. They offer personalized service. You can pretty much order just about anything you want. Email him, info@milesfranklin.com, and tell him In It to Win It sent you. Here's another trim that I did. GDX is up 2.2% for the week. Support is going to be down here around 34, 35. Resistance is pretty much where we're at now, about 40. We'd like to see this close above 42. That would create some nice little opportunities back here where it hasn't done so in years. The last time it was up above 42 was going to be back here during the COVID run-up. So took a little bit off the table, not much, about 10, maybe 12% of our original bet. GDXJ up 2.6%. We've got support down here around 40, 42. Resistance is about where it's at now, maybe a little bit north, maybe like 49, but we're basically getting there. Did the same thing here, trimmed about 10 or 12% of our original bet. And keep in mind, if you're going to be trimming some of these positions, tax implications. I'm talking specifically for Americans here. If you hold it for longer than a year, then your tax rate is a lot less than if you do short-term gains, less than a year. And Franco-Nevada up 1.4% for the week. Still really like entries down here around 115, 116, 117. Okay, just kind of following this 200 moving average, which is now just slowly starting to tilt up. Like that one a lot. Wheaton Precious Metals, I may be trimming this one a little bit. We'll see. I thought about doing it on Friday, and I'm just going to see if it can get past this little tick right up here, which is basically 63 bucks. We shall see. But in my mind, the second best precious metals royalty on the planet, heavily weighted towards silver. Gold Royalty Corporation up 2.2% for the week. Nice technical support down here around 120. Had a limit order down in there, but it just never hit. We asked Rick about this one in the rural classroom, and he said with Adriatic and their tailings issue that they've got going on in Bosnia, he said that this company shouldn't be affected by that too much. So that's good news for Gold Royalty Corporation. Metalla Royalty Corporation, another one, Metalla Royalty and Streaming. Still like limit orders down here around $2.50, maybe $2.40 if you're cheap. It is up 7.4% for the week. And yeah, just coming right up on this 200-day moving average. So resistance is basically going to be $3. If you see it punch through that and go to like 310, then we're good. And next resistance not going to be up until about $3.30. EMX Royalty up 4.7% for the week. So this gap back here was filled. We're up above the 200-day moving average. That looks great. I would like to see some double bottoms here on this 200-day moving average. And Origin Royalties Adrian Day went through an amazing hour-and-a-half presentation on Origin Royalties and Altius, the ones that are part of the Anglo project. I think there's still quite a bit of room to run in this thing. We've already had a double since the Rule Boot Camp back here. Haven't trimmed anything yet, especially after listening to Adrian's presentation in the Rule Classroom Plus. He thinks it could go to $1.80 Canadian, which on this over-the-counter chart would put us right up here. I did the math, and it's $1.33. So we still got some room to run. If I were looking to make like an initial entry on this, I would essentially keep in mind this white trend line right here and buy on pullbacks to this, which would also line up here with the 50 moving average. So kind of keep an eye on that, and any retracements down here I think might create nice entry points. We are getting kind of stretched down here in the technicals, so be aware of that. And Barrick Gold up 4% for the week. Okay, so you guys had your limit orders hit back here for 1625, 1650, and it just shot up on some great earnings call. Technicals are getting really stretched here in the gold stocks. I mean, RSI on this one is 68, so I don't see any entries here. If anything, maybe trim your position a little bit. Same thing with Newmont, up 3.6% for the week. Got some support down here around 45, a little bit of a gap right there. That might create a nice entry point, but we've reached some price targets here, so I may be trimming slightly. You know, not a whole lot, just kind of like what I did with GDX and GDXJ. If you guys aren't traders, then don't just completely disregard this and just stick in it for the long run. Keep in mind, you're going to mess up some of your dividends here if you go and trade these things. But yeah, getting pretty stretched in the charts. RSI is almost 70. Agnico Eagle, our little darling, is tapping on the door of $83. Pretty incredible, up 3.5% for the week. Resistance is now going to be $85. So we said last week resistance was now, which was around 80. Next resistance is going to be around 85. Any real support, I wouldn't even really want to call it here. I want to see this thing roll over a little bit and create some kind of double bottoms, maybe around $70. B2 Gold up 6.7% for the week. Still like entries down here for around $2.50. It is above the 200-day moving average, which is fantastic. I don't own this one, but I know a lot of you guys do. And yeah, I still like entries down here around 250. This thing pays an amazing dividend. I mean, check this thing out. What is that? Yeah, almost 6%. Rick also talked about this one in the classroom. G Mining Ventures, very compelling entry point right here. Okay, so let me zoom in on this and we can see, check out this double bottom here, just coming down, and it hit right there again. I would be looking for this to maybe retrace a little bit to the 200 moving average, or as this continues to climb, it may come up and meet this point right here. So we might get like an entry, like kind of around this zone, like right around there. Yeah, looking real good for G Mining Ventures. And I like the fundamentals of this company as well. Silver closed the week at $29.82, up 3.4% for the week. It's holding this 200 moving average, this thick white line, this Forex line that we drew in here is holding, looking great, and even better for the silver stocks. So yeah, we just got to stay above 26, and then I think we're going to have a good time. And if we go to the party face, above 26 is a party face, below 26, now this white line is going to be resistance, and we have the crying sad face. Gold divided by silver, the ratio closed at 85-1. We've been here quite a bit, coming up on the 200 moving average. And if we extend this trend line up, which is pretty reliable, we got a lot of hit points along this thing, that would coincide with a nice hit point right here on this trend line and on the 200 moving average. So look for that to see if it holds around that 84.5, 85 level. And if it moves to the upside, that could create a little trading opportunity. And PSLV, I brought this one up for our buddy Frank Sinatra, old Blue Eyes. He says, I've been accumulating PSLV. So this is essentially Sprott physical silver trust buying physical silver on the stock market, right? On dips for quite a while, and I'm asking myself, why not trade half the position whenever silver spikes? As volatile as silver is, it could be quite profitable. I keep waiting for that massive run, but it will likely not go up in a straight line, so why not take a small percentage and trade it? I agree, sir. As far as half of my position, I don't do that. I do closer to 10 or 15%, but that's all these arrows are just little something to kind of keep my monkey brain busy and trade this thing while we wait for the inevitable spike. We're going to need gold to run pretty well and the economy to be in the toilet. And then I think this thing is going to have a massive run, something like here, what we did with the COVID crash. It's coming, but in the meantime, yeah, you're absolutely right. I like this as a possible trading vehicle. I even like SILJ a little bit more because it's more leveraged. If you plot them against each other, SILJ goes up more. And if you guys want to try out this trading software, I have no idea how I would trade this if I did not have charts like this. I mean, how are you going to pick these bottoms here without looking at it on a chart and looking at the RSI and looking at the MACD and looking at all the moving averages and stuff? I would have no idea. If these charts weren't available and TradingView wasn't here, I'd probably be still playing poker. But it is, you can try it out for free for 30 days. Love this software. If you like it, great. If not, there's no obligation to buy. You got to try it free, and that was it. Favorite price, free. Link is in the description below. SIL. Okay, this is one we missed right here on the 200 moving average. It is up 4.4% for the week. So absolutely killing it. Most of this one is wheat and precious metals. I like this one a lot, especially for a lot of your retirement accounts. But see, look at this RSI. We totally could have got this right here. RSI got down to, what is that, 30? Very tradable right there. Just missed it. SILJ, same thing. Look at the RSI down there in the low 30s. It was a very tradable. I was waiting for a double bottom that never came, but this one closed up 3.5% for the week. Pan American Silver up 4.6% for the week. We got a target up here around $28. Might need to lower that a little bit to like 26. But loving Pan American Silver a lot. They pay a little dividend while we wait for that massive silver bull run. SILV, Silvercrest Metals, this is Don Durette's #1 pick. Started trimming our position back here in April. Still have quite a bit of it. I think this is still maybe 25% of my silver miner portfolio, so probably pretty heavily weighted. If we get another run up on this and silver breaks 30, which is a massive resistance line for it, then I might be trimming a little bit more. And Endeavor Silver killed it, up 9.3% for the week. So hit this 200 moving average just like everything else we saw. Look at that RSI down at 25, shot right up. Might be looking for another double bottom, but now we have the rising 200-day moving average, which is fantastic. Look for it to touch that. If it does, that might be a good entry point. Copper, paging Dr. Copper, up 1.4% for the week, up above the 200-day moving average. So this is pretty cool. So back here, we had some low RSI, which created some opportunities back here in the copper stocks. And yeah, we'll see how this one irons out. Asked Rick about this one, and he said that, this got a little ahead of itself, which usually leads to a correction, and now we're back down here. Caveat with this one is the very likely incoming recession. Usually copper gets hit. It may get hit, but that's why I like having a little bit of cash on the side, maybe 15 or 20%, so we can fire on these if they get stupid cheap. COPX up 4% for the week, up above the 200-day moving average, rising 200-day moving average. Volume is just starting to tick up, so maybe this one will continue. But middle of the road technicals, I don't see any bets right now. The bet was a couple weeks ago. Same with COPJ, we missed that one. Thought we had a limit order in here for 1950. I need to really let that go, and I didn't. Maybe I can let it go by next week. Anyhow, this one's up 4.6% for the week. So still looking strong here. Don't see anything on the technicals that would make me want to buy now, but if this came back down to that 1950 level, again, I would be a buyer, or even around this 200 moving average, which is around 20 bucks. Arizona metals up 1/3 for the week. Still got our limit order in down here for 121. That's probably a pipe dream. Looking good. The CEO is actively buying shares, which is always a good sign. He probably has his finger on the pulse of the company better than anyone else on the planet. And the fact that he's purchasing shares in his own company is fantastic. So good on him. I look forward to seeing where this company is going to progress under new management. And yeah, love it. Munduro Capital is up 0.8% for the week, kind of trading in this V pattern. We'll call it a megaphone. I don't know. There's so little volume on this. It's really tough to say, but as far as a leveraged bet on copper, this is the most leveraged one that I have. But I really believe in Teo. I like what she's doing. She's incredibly intelligent, and I'm happy to keep my capital with her in the meantime. Uranium is essentially flat for the week, up a couple of cents, I think, but essentially flat. So this white line that we drew is still holding, which is awesome. If you're new to uranium and you want to get our resident uranium expert, Justin Hune's take, this is all he does, is he studies the uranium market. Check out his newsletter, The Uranium Insider. Justin follows the supply-demand dynamics of U308 probably more than anyone on the planet. Because if you know where the price of this commodity is going, then all these equities are going to go in the same direction, only exaggerated. Does that make sense? So if we know that this is going to go up to 85 bucks, then these other ones down here, all these other equities are going to go up even more so in a usually in a 2 or 3x version. Check out his newsletter in the link down below. SRUUF. So uranium has had an amazing Friday. Amazing. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust is up 9.5% for the week. So what's interesting is the commodity itself here was flat, and it finally got revalued here on the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. So all these ones that we're buying at massive discounts, this one was like 18% discount, I believe, intraday. And it's finally getting revalued, which is pretty fantastic, because what if we go to the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust website here, it's now no longer at a 12% discount like it was last week. We're only at a 6.5% discount. So as soon as this goes to a premium, they start purchasing more pounds of uranium unavailable to the utilities. Love this bet a lot. I think it's a great place to store cash. Cameco is up 5.8% for the week. So 35 was the deal. It's blown past that. Look to see if it comes back down here to the 400 moving average, although Kazatomprom had some interesting news that they're not going to be hitting their projections for 2025. Justin Hune called that months ago, and now the market finally saw that that was true, and the uranium equities revalued. There it is right there, not producing as much as they were going to, and it shot up. Decent earnings call, I guess, up quite a bit from what they thought. But yeah, any buys, I think, to the lower end of this purple box are good. And if you're a trader, sells on the upper end of the box are good, but you know, they pay a great dividend. And so I've had this one for, I think, 3 years or so. And yeah, happy with it, but it does have some tear on it. It's a little risky. URA is up 5.9% for the week. Put a best buy here of like 25 bucks. You're shot up there. Don't like to chase these candles like this, but it does look like the equities are going up next week as well. But I'd like to see some kind of like bottoming pattern or just a washout like we had. URNM up 5.2% for the week, up above the 400 daily moving average. And yeah, just got some back here around 40 bucks and just slowly adding. You know, we're selling this when this was, you know, when uranium was up to 100 bucks a pound, and now we're buying it again when it's down here around 80. URNJ, haven't sold any of this. Probably should have trimmed the position up here. You know, hindsight's 2020. Put the $20 is a pretty good deal. Snagged one back here for less than $19. Technicals are getting a little up there though, kind of middle of the road. RSI is 51. Want to see this come down for a little double bottom. Time to buy those or when they're washed out. URNM divided by the commodity price itself. So the uranium miners have been outperforming this week the metal itself. Same thing, URNJ divided by the commodity itself, outperforming here. So the equities were in the toilet and now they're recovering and they're moving up more than the commodity itself, which isn't hard to do because it's been stuck at $80 for a while. URNJ divided by Cameco, Kazatomprom, and the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust combined. Yeah, some pretty good, I mean, looking on this chart here, if we discount the IPO and then the revalue here, kind of anywhere around where we are now, I think is a decent time to enter these juniors when compared to how they'll perform to the majors. UROI, look at that. Maybe this option is going to work out. This one is up 5.5% for the week. So it kind of started here, went down, and then shot up on Friday with the Kazatomprom news looking great above the 50 moving average. Massive volume there on Friday, 4.5 million shares. The U's, I don't think this option is going to work. I'm probably going to just try to get whatever I can. Should have sold it back here, didn't. Yeah, looking great on this one, up 6% for the week. And UEC, same kind of thing. Got low RSI back there. What did that get down to? 28, 27 RSI, just nice little entry points up above the 400 moving average. Got some resistance right here at the 50, around $5.60. And crude oil is down 1% for the week. Okay, so we came in for a double bottom, had a couple of weeks where it went up through the 200 moving average, then came back down for another double bottom right here. This looks like a much better double bottom. That might be in a nice entry, although RSI didn't get too low. It got around 36, but that's still pretty good. Closed the week at $74.83. Gold divided by crude oil is still, gold is just outperforming here. So when this chart goes up, gold is doing better than oil. Yeah, looking great. Takes 34 barrels of oil to buy 1 ounce of gold. XLE, so we had our limit order back here that we had set forever, finally hit and shot up above the 200-day moving average right now. So Rick even said in our last interview that he thinks that the oil price could go down and these equities still move up, which is a fantastic scenario. ExxonMobil, I almost bought more here on Wednesday and Thursday. It got down into the 113s and I just never pulled the trigger. This to me looks like a bear flag and we might actually break out of it. So still got these limit orders in down here for 109.50 and 101. These will be the corresponding dividend yields if it gets down to that point. I just have this weakness when things run up like this. I have an inability to buy it as the share price gets higher, but that's just a weakness of mine. It doesn't have to be yours. XOM is down 1.6% for the week. If it comes back down into this point of like 114, I'll probably snag a little bit more. Chevron is up 0.2% for the week. So still like this level around 142, 143. You know, you had a hot minute there a couple weeks ago where you could have got it down at like 140. But great dividends, in my opinion, second best oil company on the planet. Blackstone Minerals is flat for the week. Didn't really go up, didn't really go down. Our option seems to be working out pretty well. Got a strike price of 15. So my target for this one is going to be about 15.50 or so, just kind of right in all of this range here. Doesn't expire until January, so looks like it's working out pretty well. Freehold royalties up 2.4% for the week. So we have kind of this kindergarten line right here of 13.50. You had a hot minute down here where it got down to like $13, where you could get into that. At 13.50, you have an 8% dividend. Not bad at all. Petrobras is down 5% for the week. So we started out up here and then came right back down, just resting on the 20 moving average. Remember, we got this dividend coming up, which we knew when we were buying back here that we were going to get this thing. And essentially, you only had to wait a few months and then you get a 2% dividend. And that is paying, actually, it already paid. I'm sorry, the ex-dividend date already hit. Payment date isn't going to be until December. Natural gas down 4.8% for the week. Don't really see any patterns in this other than, this $1.50 or so floor rate here, I think is probably going to hold, although it looks like we got downward pressure right now on natural gas. We got the 50 moving average moving below the 200 moving average as what's called a death cross. That should put downward pressure on natural gas. Maybe we'll hit that 150 line again. Devon Energy down 0.9% for the week. This company bought back like 250 million in shares. They paid a 44-cent dividend. They're about to pay it. Ex-dividend date was the week before last. Like this one a lot. If you don't have any of this thing, I think now is good. But if you want to be a cheapskate like myself, then maybe a limit order down here around 41.50 or so. Equitable up 4.6% for the week. Rick also said that this one, along with Devon, are both very cheap. They're both at a ranking of 4, which is undervalued. So like this one a lot. As far as an entry here, I would want to wait for another double bottom. If we get another yen carry trade unwind, it'll probably hit maybe around $30.25. Woodside Energy finally coming up. That's nice. We got earnings coming up here. I moved this one back down into natural gas. I had it up in oil, but the majority of their business, I think it's like 70% is in natural gas. So anyhow, I put it down here. Up 2% for the week. Hopefully we found a bottom here, like this one for a dividend play. Birchcliff up 0.8% for the week. We're up above the 200-day moving average. Looking great. These arrows right here, and this is the corresponding dividend that you'll get with it, assuming they can continue it. But looking like these moving averages are probably going to scoop this up and hold. And Pado is up 1.2% for the week. These are the corresponding dividends if they continue to pay out at the rate they are. If you can snag them around those levels at current dividend price point, I think the dividend would be like 8.9%. Maybe someone can check my math. We went into a lot of these gas companies in the Rural Classroom. There's over 2 hours of interview material this last week with Rick that I did. Be sure to check those out. One of them is a replay of what you can expect if you join the Rural Classroom Plus. We take your questions from the master. We've got some upcoming events here with Joe Mazumdar of Exploration Insights. And then we also have a live stream with Joel Littman. I'm excited about this one. And then after that, coming up, live Q&A with Rick and I, where we take your questions. Joel Littman is a professor, and he kind of offers the contrarian view for contrarians. And every time I watch this guy, he's just right. You don't like to hear it, but he's like, yeah, S&P 500 continuing to climb. And he's just right. It's good to hear the counter argument to what we're all betting on, and sometimes it's tough as a gold bug to hear it. But so far he's just been right every time I've listened to him. Rural Classroom Plus is only $30 a month, which is almost free. This one with Joe Mazumdar, the last one he did on a copper presentation, and it was such a compelling argument for copper. That's when I bought more COPX, was after that presentation. So check out the Rural Classroom in the pinned comment below, and I would love to see you there. Start out with the Rural Classroom. It's free. And then if you're really serious about investing, join the Rule Classroom Plus, and it will take you down the rabbit hole even more. Thermal coal closed the week at 147. Met coal closed the week at an even 200. So this is not quite working out like we thought, but check this out. Okay, so we got some back support that goes back over 2 years here when met coal got down to 200 bucks. And I just couldn't help myself. I bought a little more COAL, got in at $21.99. And it actually filled. Remember, there's not much assets under management on this thing. I think it's like 10.3 million and 470,000 shares, which is about the same as last week. But coal ETF that Matt Warder helped put together. Matt is our resident coal expert. He's coming back on the show September 6th. We can pick his brain on what's going on with the coal sector. Rick liked coal a lot. He's bullish on it. We're using more coal every single year, and right now our politicians hate it. So I think it's the time we are in the accumulation stage for coal. Glencore up 3.7% for the week. I think we got support right down here on this last one. Would love to see a double bottom right here, like down around like 975. I think that might be another interesting entry point. Dividends are only 11 cents, so not fantastic, but yeah, like Glencore a lot. AMR continues to just get some weakness here. I really thought this one that I got back here like 290 or whatever it was going to be the bottom. Nope, just continues to get sold off. But look at these technicals down here. When we get into the daily, an RSI of 30, and when we get into a weekly, the RSI is 32. So pretty exciting. If you don't have anything in AMR, stay tuned for our interview with Matt Warder, and we can pick his brain on all of these. Warrior Met Coal is down 1.6% for the week, but it looks like it's kind of grinding out a bottom here. So if you've wanted a position in Warrior Met Coal, this looks like it. RSI is not completely sold off, but look, we've got this yellow line capturing that RSI right there. It's at 39. If you want it, I think this is a decent time. Unfortunately, we're under the 200 moving average, but it is sloping up. Peabody BTU up 4.6% for the week, just under, excuse me, just under the 200 moving average and the 400 moving average. So we got a lot of resistance right above it. But, you know, this is one of those ones we've ran an option on it before. Unfortunately, we missed the option back here. That would have been amazing. Yeah, it just seems to be trading in this range. You know, if all you did was buy when it was 21.50 and then sell when it was 24, you would be having a good time. Platinum up 0.4% for the week. Closed the week at $966 an ounce. It's now above this rising 200-day moving average, looking great. Got some pretty major support down here around 900 bucks. PPLT, the easiest way to play it. This was a trade that went bad and we got stopped out. And now, of course, it's at the same level that we bought it at. So we lost, I don't know what that was, 3% for nothing. Up above the 200 moving average as well. And Palladium closed the week at $942. Really like limit orders down here around 860, which if you're going to do it on the stock market. For PALL, you can catch it. It's around $80 to $79, just lines up with a lot of back support. And it looks like we are just, I mean, this is what we're waiting for on Palladium, is we're waiting for another run like this. Eventually, Russia's going to run out of palladium. Eventually, people are going to realize that we're going to continue to drive gas cars and we need catalytic converters. And platinum and palladium should do quite well. Easiest way, I think, to bet on that is the SPPP, and that is Sprott's Physical Platinum and Palladium Trust. Anywhere around $9, I think, is a great entry point. We are underneath the 200 moving average right here, so we got to bust through that before we can make any real headway. And platinum divided by silver. Okay, now we're getting into the so cheap. I think I need to add a few O's here. We're back down at 32 ounces of silver will get you 1 ounce of platinum. So pretty cheap here. And when we look at this historically, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, just a couple years ago, it was up at 50 to 1. And then we go back over here, it was at 60 to 1. So to get it for half that price, I really think there's kind of a neat arbitrage right now on how cheap platinum is in comparison to gold and silver. Nickel, absolutely hated, but finally looking like it's putting in a bottom here. I don't think it's a coincidence that it hit at the same point back here that it did just a couple weeks ago, and now we're starting to angle up, looking great. NIKL, so like this one a lot for nickel. We're probably going to be in this for the next couple of years before we see any recovery in nickel prices, but this is a really easy way to play the nickel bet with this ETF. It's up 0.6% for the week, and the commodity of nickel is up 3% for the week. Super leverage bet on nickel. This is Centaurus Metals. They're going to have to do some financing here, so I would expect that we're going to see some weakness in the stock. That might create some buying opportunities, but again, you know, understand how risky this bet is. You're betting on a Brazilian explorer, you know, an Aussie explorer down in Brazil that is there's some real hair on this one, but this could also be some massive upside because this is a huge tier 1 deposit. And cobalt, so this one is interesting. So member of the Hive, CR, and I were talking for about 30 minutes in the chat, and he found this, and I want to get your guys' opinion on it. Throw this one out to the Hive. So here's the spot price of cobalt, and look at how in the toilet this is. I mean, this is really getting exciting here. I don't know anything about cobalt other than it's for batteries. And as far as companies to bet on this, you know, there's a lot of companies that have cobalt in it, but it's such a small percentage of their portfolio, like, you know, BHP, for example, or Rio Tinto. You know, is there a company out there that we can bet on in the stock market that's really leveraged to cobalt? Is there a physical fund out there like the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust? I don't know. I haven't done any of this research, but, you know, 5,000 people are going to watch this video, and hopefully a few percent of you can look into this. Put it in the comments below as far as what you found, and then next week we'll pull up some of these cobalt companies and maybe we can find a little arbitrage. And iron ore, looking like it's coming into a little bottom right here. Close the week at 98. BHP option is looking pretty good. Finally got above $55 here. So you had some real deals down here at $52, $53. Those are working out fantastic. It's up 3.7% for the week. I think pretty much anywhere around $55 is a pretty good entry point for BHP. They pay nice dividends, biannual. Same with Rio Tinto. I missed this one. I was driving with terrible cell phone reception, and my buddy Daniel called me and said, hey, Rio is in the 60s, like low 60s. And by the time I logged in and could buy it, then the market had closed. So I would love to see this come back down, but look at these moment in times here, you know, right here. I went over this last week with the dividend, you know, they got to pay for it somehow. It went down, creates a moment in time, and now we're back up, you know, 5% from that moment. So good for Daniel, bad for us. Hopefully you guys caught it. Still have these limit orders in down here, but we're probably not going to see those hit. And pick favorite ETF for the companies we just mentioned, and that would go in with BHP, Rio Tinto, Freeport, and Glencore. So the double bottom that we were talking about a couple weeks ago is working out fantastic. Hopefully you picked it up around 36. These are great for your retirement accounts that only let you buy ETFs. That way you can play these companies here in an ETF, and look, they pay a little dividend every quarter. So I think it comes out to like 4%, something like that. So pretty cool. Bitcoin is up. You know what? When I did this, let me see what it was up for the week. Up, yeah, it's gone up even more since then. So up 10.3% for the week as of this moment in time. And let's see, what do we got here? Okay, so we're up above the 200-day moving average. It's rising. That's looking good. Looking good right here in the technicals, although I wouldn't do a purchase here, but it does look like Bitcoin is going to continue up. through next week. Alrighty, well, I hope you guys got something out of that. Love you guys. Thank you for all the comments and questions. I really look forward to hearing what you find in Cobalt. Support the show and share this with anyone that you think needs to hear it. It's probably your buddy that can't stop talking about tech stocks. You have yourself a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you next time.